Let's talk about that very specific feeling of algorithmic fatigue.
Oh, yeah. I think we all know that feeling pretty well by now.
Right. You open up your music app of choice,
Yeah.
and it just feeds you the next mathematically calculated track.
Exactly. It's analyzing literally everything you do.
Yeah, your previous skips, your volume adjustments, even like the time of day. And then it spits out this perfectly competent, frictionless playlist.
Frictionless is the perfect word for it. It works, sure.
It works, but there is zero sense of discovery. I mean, it's a far cry from that tactile, deeply human experience of walking into a dusty record store.
Oh, I miss that. Flipping through those heavy wooden crates of vinyl.
Yes. And buying an album simply because the weird, faded artwork caught your eye.
Well, the modern streaming experience is incredibly efficient, but it completely strips away context.
Totally.
When you found an old record in a crate, you had the liner notes, the smell of the cardboard, the visual aesthetic of the era it was printed in.
It was a whole vibe.
Right. Today, audio is largely served to us stripped of all that world building. We get the data file, but we lose the atmosphere.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the central premise of today's deep dive is exactly about reclaiming that atmosphere.
It really is.
We are looking at a YouTube channel we found in our sources called At the Velvet Room 68.
Such a great name.
It is. And their tagline is simple. It's class never goes out of style.
Love that.
But the mission of this channel is anything but simple. I mean, they aren't just uploading old songs.
Oh, not at all.
They're meticulously constructing this virtual timeless hideaway, a digital sanctuary of smooth soul, midnight jazz, and like heavy 70s funk.
And they're doing it to build a fiercely dedicated community of nostalgia seekers.
Which brings us to the real meat of this, because they are doing something incredibly unique.
Absolutely. This channel is a masterclass in world building and aesthetic curation, especially in an era of endless digital noise.
It's so true. When you first look at the channel, the most striking thing is the hyper-specificity of the music.
Oh, they know exactly what era they are targeting.
Right. They have this flagship act, a group called the Velvet Directions.
Sounds very authentic.
It does. And their biggest track on the channel is called Midnight Groove Affair.
Okay.
It's pulled in 97,000 views in just a few months.
Wow, that is really impressive for such a niche music channel.
Right. But what catches my eye isn't just the view count, it's the title. The video specifically labels the song a Philly soul classic.
Ah, okay. The specific tagging.
Exactly. Then you click over to another track by them. It's called Don't Let Love Slip Away. That one is sitting at 78,000 views.
Still huge numbers.
Yeah, and it's explicitly tagged as a 1975 Soul Train classic.
Wow, they are really leaning into it.
They are. Then there's 7 Days a Week subtitled You're My Girl, which is pushed as a Motown soul classic.
So they have all the subgenres covered.
Pretty much. They even have a solo artist, Derek Silk Monroe, singing What a Night to Remember.
Well, what's fascinating here is how the channel uses highly specific tagging to trigger nostalgia before a single note even plays.
Wait, how so? Like, what is the tag actually doing?
Think about what happens in your brain when you read the phrase 1975 Soul Train Classic.
Okay, yeah.
Before the audio even hits your eardrum, your mind is retrieving a very specific set of cultural associations.
Oh, totally. I pictured Don Cornelius, the flared trousers, the bright stage lights.
Exactly. And you anticipate the warm, heavy syncopation of a 1970s bass line.
You're already hearing the song in your head.
Right. By putting those exact words in the title, the channel creator is bypassing your critical brain and tapping directly into your emotional memory.
They're establishing the exact mood they want you to feel.
Exactly, setting those listener expectations immediately.
I see that. It completely primes you for a specific flavor of nostalgia. But this brings up a huge question for me.
Okay, let's hear it.
I really want to push back on what this channel is actually doing, because finding this channel feels like stumbling into an untouched, dusty jukebox in an abandoned 1970s diner.
That is a great analogy.
Right. But when I listen to these tracks, the audio detail is staggering. You hear the Tate hiss, the analog warmth, the vocal
It
harmonies.
sounds exactly like 1975.
It does. But if I try to look up the Velvet Directions anywhere else on the internet, they don't exist.
They are nowhere to be found.
So are we listening to actual forgotten tracks unearthed from a basement in Detroit? Or is this channel brilliantly producing brand new music that just sounds decades old?
It's the million-dollar question.
Because if it's the latter, isn't the listener just falling for an illusion?
Well, that tension between authenticity and illusion is the core of why this channel is so interesting.
So what's actually going on?
Based on the surrounding context of the source material, and frankly, the rapid pace at which these distinct tracks are appearing, we are looking at modern production.
Wow, so it is modern.
Highly likely utilizing advanced digital tools and AI music generation to synthesize these tracks.
That is wild.
I mean, the tools available today can analyze thousands of hours of 1970s soul music.
Right, they just feed it all the classics.
Yeah, they learn the exact frequencies of analog mixing boards, the slight imperfections in a human drummer's timing.
The sweeping strings of Philly soul versus the tight tambourines of Motown.
Exactly. They take all that data and generate a completely new, mathematically perfect vintage track.
So it is an illusion.
Technically, yes.
We are walking into that dusty diner, dropping a quarter into the jukebox, and hearing a song that was quite literally manufactured yesterday.
It is an illusion, but I wouldn't call it a trick in a malicious sense.
How do you mean?
Think of it more like a movie set. When you watch a period piece set in 1970s New York, you know the buildings are made of plywood, right?
Right, and the cars were just rented for the shoot.
Exactly. But you still allow yourself to feel the emotion of the story. The Velvet Room is basically providing a sonic movie set.
A sonic movie set, I love that.
The listener might know, on some level, that the Velvet Directions never played on Soul Train, but the music successfully triggers the desired emotional response regardless.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about the feeling, not necessarily the historical facts. And the channel creator seems to deeply understand how their audience wants to use those feelings, because they recently made a massive strategic pivot.
This is where it gets really smart.
Yeah, they didn't just keep churning out these catchy vocal hits. They adapted to the reality of how modern digital audiences actually consume media.
They shifted to a utility-based series.
Yes, exactly. They launched the Velvet Room After Dark. And the community post announcing this shift reads like stage directions for your evening.
Oh, I remember reading this.
I'll quote it directly for you. It says, no vocals, no distractions, just smooth soul, jazz, and chill beats.
Such a mood shift.
Right. And it continues, dim the lights, pour yourself a drink, let the music play.
Notice the imperative verbs there. Dim the lights, pour a drink.
Yeah, it's very commanding.
They are no longer just offering a song to listen to. They are offering an environmental design for your physical space.
And here's where it gets really interesting to me. The track titles reflect that environmental design perfectly.
They really do.
They drop these 7 to 8 minute instrumental mixes with highly evocative names like City Lights Night Drive,
Classic.
Rainy Night Jazz Cafe, Sunday Morning Soul.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Totally. And the creator explicitly outlines the intended use cases. They say this is for late night listening, relaxing, working, reading, or just switching off from the day's noise.
It's mood utility.
Right. And the irony here is that they took the rich, complex aesthetics of classic soul and jazz music that was born in sweaty live clubs.
No, absolutely. High energy environment.
Yeah. And they turned it into the 1970s equivalent of the modern lo-fi hip-hop girl studying stream.
Yes. The functional overlap is identical.
You know the one, the 24/7 stream with the animated girl writing in her notebook.
Everyone knows that girl. And that stream became a cultural phenomenon because it solved a modern problem.
The need for focus.
Exactly. The need for focus and emotional regulation in an era of constant distraction. People today are using YouTube not just for entertainment, but as a productivity tool.
That is so true.
People use those endless vocal-free streams to manage their anxiety or to create a boundary between work and home when they are remote.
Or just to drown out the absolute noise of the world.
Exactly. But the lo-fi girl aesthetic appeals heavily to a younger, more anime-adjacent or internet-native demographic.
Right, it has a very specific vibe.
The Velvet Room just swapped out the anime girl and the hip-hop beats for a dimly lit speakeasy, a glass of scotch, and a vintage saxophone.
That is brilliant. They gave an older, or maybe just more nostalgic demographic their own version of a focus tool.
Precisely. The channel is brilliant for adapting its vintage aesthetic into a functional tool for the listener's daily routine.
Because a 3-minute pop song requires you to actively engage with the singer's performance.
Right, it demands your attention.
Yeah. But an 8-minute instrumental jazz loop allows you to just passively inhabit the mood while you, clear out your email inbox.
It transforms art into a highly functional background layer.
But they aren't abandoning the art of it. I mean, even as they pivot to these utility streams, the source material shows they are simultaneously doubling down on the lore.
This is my favorite part.
They are actively building out a full musical cinematic universe.
Because beyond just individual songs and mood playlists, the channel is actively building a universe of distinct characters.
Yes, and they do it with such incredible detail. When they release a new single, it isn't just a casual upload. It's framed as a massive cinematic event.
They treat it like a major release.
Take Clifford Funkmaster Reed.
Oh, the Funkmaster.
They uploaded a track of his called Boom Boom Boom, subtitled When You Came Back Around.
Great title.
Right, but they didn't just say, hey, here's a new funk track. They provided a whole backstory.
Right, the lore.
They framed it as a feel-good Bronx-style funk journey. It's the story of the exact moment he saw an old flame again and how his heart literally went boom, boom, boom when she walked back into his life.
Felt good.
Before the bass line even drops, you have a protagonist, a setting, and emotional stakes.
This raises an important question, though, regarding how storytelling enhances music consumption.
Oh, say more about that.
Well, by giving artists rich nicknames and specific backstories, like a Bronx romance, the channel makes the listener emotionally invest in the music before they even press play.
You aren't just evaluating the audio engineering, you are rooting for Clifford.
Exactly. It forces a parasocial relationship between the listener and a completely fictional entity.
I am absolutely rooting for Clifford.
You declare.
We all are. And they do this across the board. They have an upcoming track teased by a group called the Diamond Souls. It's titled Dance Your Troubles Away.
Sounds very upbeat.
It is. They market it as an original 77 disco soul version promising mirror ball magic.
Mirror ball magic. That is great copywriting.
But look at the copy they actually used to sell it to the audience.
Yeah.
It says bills piling up, heart's been broken, feeling stressed, leave it all outside, step into the lights.
Wow.
It's explicitly positioned as an escape hatch from modern anxieties.
It really is. And then look at Loretta Devine.
Oh, yes. The framing for Loretta Devine represents a totally different kind of emotional anchor.
It's pure empowerment.
Her track, A Woman Stands Tall, is marketed as a 1960s-style women's empowerment anthem. They describe it as a song of courage, dignity, and unstoppable strength.
You can just picture the performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you look at the curated playlists, every single artist is given a legendary moniker that implies this decades-long career.
Right, like they've been around forever.
Yeah. Jimmy Sanchez is the Latin lover, the forgotten king of Latin lounge.
Such a great title.
Clarence Kingfisher Brown is the gentleman of midnight jazz, and Lana Sterling is the queen of midnight swing.
Reading through the channel feels exactly like reading the worn-out liner notes on the back of a stack of vinyl records that never actually existed.
It really does. It's wild.
Which brings us to the underlying psychology of why this works. Why does a listener need to know that Jimmy Sanchez is the forgotten king of Latin lounge to just enjoy a beat?
Right. Why does the lore matter?
It comes down to how storytelling fundamentally alters human perception.
Okay, I'm tracking with you.
When you attach a rich, specific narrative to a piece of media, you give the audience a framework for empathy.
That makes sense.
In an internet overflowing with anonymous AI-generated content, a song without a story is just floating data.
Just noise.
Exactly. By attaching a Bronx romance or a 60s empowerment struggle, the channel bridges the gap between digital synthesis and genuine human connection.
They are giving the algorithm a soul.
As beautifully put, they are.
And that soul is exactly what transforms casual listeners into a dedicated community.
Yes, all of this careful curation and character building culminates in a fiercely loyal micro-community.
Because all the elements, the tagging, the utility playlists, the rich cinematic lore, it all builds to this.
And the growth metrics in the source material certainly support that.
The numbers are crazy.
Achieving 400,000 total views and over 1,000 subscribers for a highly niche, specialized aesthetic project in such a short amount of time, that indicates a very high level of audience retention.
But it's not just the sheer numbers, right?
Yeah.
It's the way the channel interacts with those numbers.
Right, the community management.
They treat their audience like regulars at a physical bar.
Oh, definitely.
They recently put out a community post celebrating that subscriber milestone, and they took the time to publicly welcome an individual new paying member by name.
That is such a nice touch.
They shouted out a user at LewisService5429 and literally wrote, "Welcome to the family."
Reinforcing that family feel is crucial.
And they actively foster engagement by directly asking the audience questions. Like, on that Diamond Souls post, they asked the listeners, what song always gets you up and dancing, no matter how bad your day has been?
That shifts the dynamic from a one-way broadcast into a collaborative environment.
They're inviting the audience to co-create the vibe of the room.
Exactly. The creator isn't just serving content to consumers, they are hosting a gathering.
So what does this all mean?
Well, it means they've built something special.
Summarizing this for you, the listener, tuning in, this isn't just a YouTube channel to subscribe to or forget about. It functions as a virtual speakeasy.
A timeless hideaway.
Right. You kind of need to know the secret knock or, the right algorithmic pathway to find it.
But once you step inside...
Yes. Once you step inside, the bartender knows your favorite drink, the lighting is always perfect, and you are surrounded by people who appreciate the exact same obscure vintage aesthetic that you do.
The immense value of these niche digital communities cannot be overstated right now.
Why do you think it's so important right now?
Because the broader internet is vast, overwhelming, and often feels incredibly isolating.
It really does.
We are constantly bombarded by global news, viral trends, and just endless feeds. A carefully curated space like the Velvet Room offers a profound sense of belonging by simply closing the door on all of that.
It's just shutting out the noise.
Exactly. It gathers people who share highly specific values, a love for warm analog sound, an appreciation for vintage aesthetics, a desire for a slower pace of life. And it gives them a sanctuary.
It proves that even on a platform hosting billions of users, human beings still crave small, intimate, manageable spaces.
We really do.
It really is a digital sanctuary. When we pull all these threads together, what makes the Velvet Ring so compelling is how it operates as a brilliant hybrid.
A hybrid of past and present.
Yes, they are deeply committed to the rich, undeniable aesthetics of the past.
Yeah.
The sweeping Philly soul, the heavy 70s funk, the Latin lounge.
All the classics.
But they are executing it using the absolute most effective strategies of the modern internet.
It's a fascinating juxtaposition.
They use lo-fi utility streams to cater to remote workers, they use community posts to foster a parasocial family, and they use deep digital lore to create an entire cinematic universe.
They've built a timeless hideaway for their patrons, using tools that didn't even exist a decade ago.
And that leaves us with a rather profound paradox to consider as we wrap up this deep dive.
The big one.
We live in an era where advanced digital tools, like AI, make it effortless to perfectly replicate the textures, sounds, and feelings of bygone eras.
It's easier than ever.
But as the modern world feels increasingly chaotic and overwhelming, we have to ask ourselves something. Is manufactured nostalgia the act of creating completely new art that intentionally poses as a lost vintage classic, becoming the most authentic way for us to cope with the present?
That is a wild thought to sit with.
All right. Maybe the only way to truly escape the anxieties of the future is to invent a past that never actually happened.
Wow.
We walk back into that diner, wipe the dust off that 1970s jukebox, and drop our quarter in, finding real comfort in a machine we know was built yesterday.
It's a beautiful illusion.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you take a moment this week to find, or maybe even build, your own timeless hideaway. Take care, and we'll see you next time.